desires of altruism or volunteerism to be expressed through outlets outside of the 9-to-5 world. That is not what this generation is seeking when they're looking to make a difference. There is a very pure and very powerful desire for this holistic life of meaning and making a difference. And the career path is how students want to actualize this. So my name is Chrissy Garton, and I'm the Director of Social Innovation at Rollins. I work with a brand new program called SESi, which is the Social Entrepreneurship and Sustainability Initiative. And through this initiative, working with many existing components of Rollins that make it such an incredible educational journey, we recently named a Changemaker campus. And we're really excited about that, and we'll get kind of into the nuts and bolts of that. The organization that gave us this designation is called Ashoka. Have any of you heard of Ashoka before? So Ashoka is...
People from California here.
We've got a little association. So Ashoka is probably the most credible association in this space right now of really making impact in the world. And their mission is to go out and find social entrepreneurs, those who are really moving the needle, doing game-changing things. And they have over 3,000 Ashoka Fellows who they're helping to do things in over 80 countries. And they've got a new designation called the Changemaker Campus Designation. And from their perspective, asking the question, how can colleges and universities, how can we start there? How can we not start when professionals just decide, but as we educate students, how can we find these colleges and universities that are really cultivating these skill sets and helping social entrepreneurship emerge? So these are 19 of the colleges so far. Rollins was just designated this year. It's really exciting to us. And what that means is that we're making a big commitment to lead the field in what this looks like. So on a national scale right now, 61% of millennial students feel personally responsible for making a difference in the world. 74% of college students, and this is undergraduate and graduate students, envision themselves as leaders who will improve the world's social or environmental challenges. And if you look at these words, they will improve something. They will make a difference. They will not just do something good. 73% of undergraduate business students specifically want more focus of their business degree on corporate responsibility and sustainability. And 84% of all the students who are in college right now are going to specifically be looking for socially responsible employment after graduation. These are huge statistics, and they are not to be taken lightly. So what does this actually mean? You know, it's not only important for students, but if you look at this, it's determining how they're going to live the rest of their lives. So interestingly, you know, having an impact through their career is rated as more important to your students than having children, than having a prestigious career, than having great wealth, community leadership, and of course, you know, this is not across the board, but I think this is really, really worth paying attention to. Careers with impact, and I'm sure we can all relate to that as well. But these are students who've never been in the job force. They don't have to have realistic expectations. They're strong-minded, and this is what they want. This is what they are going to find. But don't worry, it's not a bad thing. I know this probably sounds crazy to you, and you're worried that your college investment is going to get thrown up in the Peace Corps, and you're just never going to have students moving out of your house and creating their own lives, or having children, but none of that is true. This is actually really, really good for future careers. Doing good is not enough, which is great. So just this idea of, you know, service. Service is incredible, and that's what Rollins is built upon, but it's a step. So this cultivation of empathy is not where we're stopping anymore. Students are smart. They're getting more and more intelligent, and they know that there's a difference between doing something good and actually affecting substantive change and solving problems. So if you think of what it truly takes to solve a social problem, it's very similar to what it takes to solve any type of problem in any career. So the days of changing the world no longer means, you know, living in mud huts in Somalia, volunteering your time, becoming a sacrificial lamb, being anti-business or anti-capitalist. None of that these are not opposites anymore. So it's really interesting to watch the passion for doing something starting to translate into really viable income streams and career paths. This is not a lie right now. The fastest growing job creation in the United States is the impact sector. And when I say impact sector, I'm referring to an entire new class of jobs out there. And it's really interesting, and we kind of have to stop and step back and not think of things as we would traditionally consider sectors. I actually just got back from a conference with Fortune 50 employers looking for students with these types of competencies. And so there's panels and panels of social entrepreneurs and different employers. And what you hear from all of them is, my mother has no idea what I do. And I see that in our students too. You know, to be honest, they know what they want, but their parents think they're kind of crazy, and we're not so sure about it, and it's different. And so what I hope after today, if I can leave you with anything, is to rest assured that it's different than what we know, but it's real, and it's definitely here, and it's good. So there's an entire spectrum of what I'm going to call the impact sector. You can hear it as the citizen sector, I don't know. It's got a lot of names, but this idea of doing good for a living. So social entrepreneurship, how many of you have heard this terminology recently? So, okay, so it's not new to all of you, and it's a pretty new word that's becoming so sexy, it's almost this new buzzword. And what that really means is using entrepreneurial skills, so traditional entrepreneurship as you think of it, to achieve a social objective. And success through social entrepreneurship, as opposed to commercial entrepreneurship, is going to be measured in terms of positive returns to society. And so there's capital, but it's a means to an impact end, which is just a different shift in mindset, really. And the idea of teaching social entrepreneurship, it's preparing students to be job creators, not just job consumers, so not having to be dependent on the marketplace. That how can I do what I love and create a really comfortable destiny for myself. And doing good in a sustainable way, and all parties should benefit from doing good. This is a principle that's becoming more common now. So I'll just, we have a couple students, Sam Barnes and Allie Crocker. Sam graduated last year, and they went on an immersion trip with Rollins. They became incredibly impassioned and wanted to help jumpstart the economy of Tanzania, right? Super social objective. So Sam went and got his MBA at Crummer, and he is now in Tanzania setting up an eco lodge. And so he's starting to utilize tourism in an economy that maybe wasn't thinking that way, and he's hiring local folks, and he's helping jumpstart this economy. And he has a business, and he's making money doing it. So I think, that's just an example. So, another sphere which probably comes to mind first for all of us is the nonprofit industry. And nonprofits, by definition, they're driven by a social mission. That's what they do. And then all profits go back into the organization. So the nonprofit industry has been around forever. But what you may not realize is that this is a $1.5 trillion industry. Again, we're not talking about mom and pops, doing good things and really being altruistic. We're talking about an economic driver here. This is the third largest labor force in our country. 1 in 10 Americans within the nonprofit industry. That is how they're putting food on their table. That is how they're driving change in our world. So ignoring this industry or kind of poo-pooing it would be a really big mistake. And it's changing. So this industry is really bursting right now, and there is a demand for business savvy within the nonprofit field. And you can make money. So it's this is something, what it means to go the nonprofit route as students. It means something very different than even what it did 10 years ago. So there's also this emergence of more and more nonprofits with income-generating models, like the Girl Scouts with the Girl Scout cookies, several examples like that. And then we've got the business sector. So business, as we think of traditionally, there are many, many models emerging that are marrying these two worlds, doing good and doing well. So corporate social responsibility, is this common terminology to most of you? It didn't even exist 25 years ago. There was no business speaking this language, and right now, 90% of CEOs believe that sustainability and social responsibility is important to good business practice. So they are starting to see these concepts as a staple to any business. It doesn't matter what you do. It's good for their reputation. It helps with internal pride, recruitment, retention, and at the end of the day, if you're going to focus on sustainability, there's a big cost-saving measure as well. So this is no longer, social is no longer soft. It's becoming more and more central. And right now, responsibility is arguably the largest brand launch, and the response that we've seen from the corporate world as a whole. And what I mean by this is companies, it's a staple now, right? So they need to be seen as socially responsible and sustainable. And for an entire sector like this to buy into that means that there's something really substantive there. Companies have been buying into this brand, and so each of you could probably name a company that you think of that has their certain impact area. But what these companies want to do now is they're expecting to hire a workforce that's going to actualize this and help figure out, okay, what does this mean? And so that's really, really, really good news for us and for our students. So we've got students who want to integrate this concept into their professional lives, regardless of what that looks like. And now we've got companies who want to hire students who care. So it's a really, really exciting time. Like I said, you've got Fortune 50 companies, and they're basing their recruitment strategies on employees, with evidence and experience and interest in this idea of corporate responsibility. So there's a couple different kind of models in the business world that are emerging. You've got your socially conscious companies, but again, this is really a standard, so taking that to a new level. I think Coca-Cola is an interesting example. So they've got their polar bears, it's all good. We all know that what Coca-Cola does for a living is promoting sugary beverages, fine. So that's not their altruistic mission, but they've paid attention and realized that you can't just talk the talk anymore. And so in order to stay credible as they are, they have to be seen really high in the social responsibility lens. And so the CEO of Coke makes regular trips to the North Pole now to really understand polar bears and how they can help with climate change. Oh, I put the end of bears, sorry. But this is really incredible. You've got a CEO who's that committed for our largest brand in the world. That is something to pay attention to, and you're seeing it everywhere. You've got this example of B corporations, which means it's a benefit corporation. And so what these are is for-profit companies, but they've got this triple bottom line mentality for their mission. So they have an equal focus on their profit, on helping people, and not causing harm to the planet. So that's pretty incredible if you can actually accomplish this, and you can. So Ben & Jerry's, Newman's Own, these are examples of, they have products, they make money, but it's 50-50. They're serving a mission and serving their bottom line. At Rollins, we've got a team of a couple of students who just got really impassioned about marine life, and so they started an apparel company. And so they just launched a business here, and I would say that they're an example of a B Corp. So they've started a company called Breakline Apparel, so you should go help them out, buy some apparel. And they're selling clothing, but half of their proceeds, and the reason they're selling clothing, and I think they'll be really successful, is because they want to preserve oceanic fish population, and they've found a way to do both. And then you've got hybrid, companies. We've got a social entrepreneur on Park Avenue right here. So if you have time to walk up the street, it's called Bajalia Trading Company. And the woman who owns Bajalia, her name is Debbie Farah, and she was a big hot shot in the retail marketing world. She worked for Neiman's and Saks and everything else, and she just started kind of feeling empty and wanted a little bit more purpose. Went on a mission trip to India, got really, really just energized over this idea of utilizing women as economic drivers in underdeveloped countries. And so she started using her retail expertise, helping women set up companies and become trade artisan vendors, and taught them how to make products that American consumers really want. So not pity purchases, so to speak, but but how do you help them really become part of this competitive retail market? And so she's helping women all over the world who are now